Hey everyone, Johnny here. Don't speak news. News we're not supposed to speak about. And this is news that at least a few people are talking about. As yesterday I reported this on don'tspeaknews.com, Germany's Merz says Western allies no longer impose range limits on Ukrainian weapons. That would include the United States, according to Merz. So here we go. This is from Le Monde. The German chancellor said on Monday that the lifting of these restrictions will allow Ukraine to strike military positions in Russia, and added that his government would strategically no longer detail what arms it is sending to Ukraine. So they're going to let Russia guess. Not a good move. That's probably going to get them blasted first as Russia starts moving the war into Europe itself. Anyway, Chancellor Friedrich Merz said on Monday, May 26th, that Germany, along with Ukraine's other key Western backers, had lifted range restrictions on weapons that they send to Kiev to fight against Russia. Merz, who took office earlier this month, also vowed that we will do everything in our power to continue supporting Ukraine, including militarily, in close coordination with other supporters. And this is in spite of the fact that Ukraine is, collapsing as we speak. But their army is anyway. There are no longer any range restrictions on weapons delivered to Ukraine, neither by the British, nor by the French, nor by us, nor by the Americans, he said. This means that Ukraine can now defend itself, for example, by attacking military positions in Russia. With very few exceptions, it didn't do that until recently. It can now do that. But of course, we've also had massive drone attacks going into Russia from Ukraine. And one of them actually almost brought President Putin's helicopter down as he was taking a tour of the Kursk region. So it's hard to keep up with all this stuff, guys. The news is moving so fast. So I'll do the best that I can, being a one-man operation. But now to go along with that, I had to talk about this story first, about, NATO essentially removing all range restrictions on the weapons they send to Ukraine. Then we had this, covert intel over on Hal Turner's last night. It says that flash traffic over intel circuits confirms that Germany will provide Taurus cruise missiles to Ukraine, with delivery of 150 missiles to begin immediately. Zelensky will visit Berlin tomorrow, where he's scheduled to announce the start of Taurus deliveries to Ukraine. And then it goes on to talk about how targeting information is supplied to the Taurus missile. Mission planning and target programming. Before launch, mission planners program the Taurus missile with detailed targeting information. That includes the precise location of the target, known air defense positions, and planned flight path. The missile is loaded with a digital 3D model of the target area, which it uses for navigation and terminal guidance. It has internal navigation systems. It has GPS, of course, terrain referenced navigation, or TRN, as the missile scans the ground below and compares it with the pre-stored digital terrain data, allowing it to fly at low altitudes and avoid radar detection. It also has image-based navigation, and then autonomous targeting after launch. Once airborne, the Taurus follows the pre-programmed route autonomously, adjusting its flight path using the above systems. So Russia, according to this article, got this information, Russian intel did, that is, got this information on Saturday. When the Russian government received this information, they implemented the evacuation of government officials from Moscow. 17 military aircraft taking off from Moscow at around 2 a.m. Saturday morning, Moscow time, heading east toward the Ural Mountains, where continuity of government facilities are said to exist, including a complete underground city at Mount Yamantau. The Taurus cruise missile is nuclear capable. That's the other problem here. That's actually the biggest problem here, because Russia will then be faced with a choice. If once one or more of these missiles gets launched at Russia, the Russians will have no way of knowing if the missile is conventional or nuclear tipped. So then they'd have to make this horrible choice, take the hit to hope it's conventional, right? Or launch their own nuclear weapons before the Taurus hits. Which one do you think they're going to do? Anybody's guess right now. If you thought the Cuban Missile Crisis was bad, this is now orders of magnitude worse. So Hal urges you to prepare with all your emergency things like food, water, medicine, fuel for the generator, radio communication, CB ham radio, and so on. If the Russians get hit with a nuke, Hal thinks they'll lose their minds and hit everybody. And yeah, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? But see, that's the big problem. Is it a nuke? Is it nuclear tipped or not? They won't really know. But they're coming, and the range restrictions have been lifted, as you see here. So, wow. All kinds of escalation going on in Russia, or with Russia. And then we have Trump going off and going on an angry rant about Putin in his most significant post yet. So this is a guest post by Andrew Corripico over on my website, don'tspeaknews.com. And he says Trump is either being maliciously misinformed about the conflict from his trusted advisors, not counting Witkoff, of course, or that he's manipulatively creating the pretext for U.S. escalation. So Trump's latest angry post about Putin revealed a lot about how he perceives the Ukrainian conflict. He says, according to Trump, Putin has gone absolutely crazy. He is needlessly killing a lot of people, and I'm not just talking about soldiers. Missiles and drones are being shot into cities in Ukraine for no reason whatsoever. I've always said that he wants all of Ukraine, not just a piece of it, and maybe that's proving to be right. But if he does, it will lead to the downfall of Russia. That was a quote from Trump's post. So what's really happening is that Russia ramped up its bombing campaign against Ukraine in response to Ukraine ramping up its drone campaign first, which we just talked about, during which time Putin's helicopter was almost down after it was caught in a drone swarm when he was visiting the Kursk region last week. Zelensky earlier demanded that the U.S. condemn Russia for its latest attacks after it was silent all week long, which Trump just complied with, despite remaining suspiciously silent after Zelensky implicitly threatened Moscow's Victory Day parade. As for Trump's claim that Putin wants all of Ukraine, not just a piece of it, Andrew thinks this is a gross misportrayal of his latest buffer zone plan that was announced in response to Ukraine's aforementioned ramped-up drone campaign that provoked Russia's reciprocal bombing one. Right around the start of these tit-for-tat escalations, Trump held his third call with Putin this year, which was analyzed by Andrew and included a list of 10 background briefings to bring observers up to speed about the conflict's military-political dynamics. So, although Trump wrote in his latest angry post that President Zelensky is doing his country no favors by talking the way he does, everything out of his mouth causes problems, I don't like it and it better stop, his ire is clearly directed much more at the Russian leader than the Ukrainian one. Objective observers can therefore conclude that Trump is either being maliciously misinformed about the conflict from his trusted advisors or that he's manipulatively creating the pretext for U.S. escalation. So I'm going to skip down to my analysis at the editor's note here. The reasons for Trump doing what he's doing are biblical, which is why they don't make sense to most of the world. On the one hand, Trump says he's for peace and is optimistic. Then on the other hand, he goes off and rants like this and threatens Putin. He does this with Israel too, and Gaza and all that, Yemen. This goes right along with what the Bible said would happen in the last days. While people are saying there's peace and security, then sudden destruction will come upon them, as labor pains come upon a pregnant woman and they will not escape. Then there's also the Club of Rome plans that I believe Trump to be following. If you look at the maps they've made about their new world order, it shows Ukraine as part of Russia. Trump knows this. That's why he's pursuing Canada and Greenland as well. But he's playing his role, the role of the Antichrist. So here's a link to that story right here. In that article, we discuss the biblical plans for the final 10 kingdoms in Revelation 17 and Daniel 7. And we are getting very close to the end, guys, with the return of Jesus Christ being imminent, in my humble opinion. It could come at any time at this point. Stay ready, prayed up and prepped up at all times. So, wow. It's all here. And then in response to that, you have Dmitry Medvedev, deputy chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, as he responded to Trump's threats about Putin playing with fire. He said, regarding Trump's words about Putin playing with fire and really bad things happening to Russia, I only know of one really bad thing, World War III. I hope Trump understands this. Because as you know, or as we know now, Trump is saying that Putin is playing with fire. and that really bad things could happen to Russia. And if it weren't for him, they would have already happened. So wars, rumors of wars, they continue. And then I got one last thing to show you here real quick. Here we go. This was an interview with Putin where he talked about the West and the Western elites and how they staged a bloody coup in Ukraine. He says they staged a coup. They forced us to do what we're now doing, meaning the special military operation against Ukraine. And he's right. In 2014, they did stage a coup. NATO and the U.S. together. And they got their person in power, and now it's Zelensky. And of course, he's overstayed his welcome. And, they're still under martial law, is why Zelensky is still in power, because there should have been elections held. And Putin went on to say that he made calls to put the West in a chokehold, because he said they're trying to strangle us and we should reciprocate. And there we go. Tit for tat, back and forth it goes, right? So then you have Medvedev, who essentially speaks for Putin. He was president of Russia at one time when Putin had to take a break from the office according to their constitution. But he said regarding Trump's words about playing with fire and really bad things happening to Russia, I only know of one really bad thing. That's World War III. I hope Trump understands this. Oh, he does. Because they're all playing their roles. And so there we go. That kind of sums up some of the big war, rumors of war stuff going on right now, along with this. Trump cautioned Netanyahu to avoid steps that undermine Iran nuclear talks. So there's more conflict, according to this article, going on behind the scenes. This is from Axios.com. It says President Trump cautioned Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu in a phone call last week not to take any action that could jeopardize negotiations between the U.S. and Iran on a new nuclear deal. That was according to a White House official and a source familiar with the details. So why does it matter? Well, Trump and other senior U.S. officials have grown concerned in recent weeks that Israel might bomb Iran's nuclear facilities or take other steps that could undermine the talks. Yes, they just very well might do that. Friction point. Israel has been making preparations to swiftly strike Iran's nuclear sites if U.S.-Iran nuclear talks break down in the coming weeks. One source told Axios that Israel believes its operational window for a successful strike could close soon. Some U.S. officials have worried Netanyahu might order a strike even without a green light from Trump. And then behind the scenes, Trump told Netanyahu in Thursday's call that he didn't want anything to impede a diplomatic solution with Iran, and says that Trump's message was he didn't want him to antagonize at a time when he's trying to solve problems. Trump also stressed to Netanyahu that the other options on the table, but he wants to see first if a diplomatic solution is possible. The Prime Minister's office declined to comment. The call took place after the shooting in Washington that killed 2 Israeli embassy staffers. What they're saying: Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem met Netanyahu on Sunday in Jerusalem and also conveyed Trump's message about the need to avoid steps that undermine the negotiations. Noem told Fox News on Monday that she had a candid and direct conversation with Netanyahu about the need to stay united and let the process play out. Noem said Trump would not drag out the negotiations with Iran for weeks or months, but would make a decision within days. The Israeli official said that Noem told Netanyahu to give us a week. I asked the Prime Minister to work with President Trump to make sure we're taking wise decisions together. He wants Netanyahu to be on the same page with him. That's what Noem said. And the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, said on Thursday that Trump had made it very clear to Netanyahu that he wants to deal with Iran rather than the most severe negative option. Once again, this is the back and forth that Trump is doing, and the wearing out of the saints is happening, right? So because on the one hand, what was it, a week or so ago, or not even, that he said Iran would be facing severe, military strikes if they don't comply. And now we have this article saying that he wants peace. So back and forth it goes, guys. But driving the news, Netanyahu's top advisor, Ron Dermer, arrived in Washington Monday, along with Mossad chief David Barnea, for talks on Iran. The two met with Vice President Vance, White House envoy Steve Witkoff, and CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and other officials. So Witkoff met Friday, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi on Friday in Rome for the latest round of talks. And Trump said Sunday that the talks showed real progress, and he might have good news about it later this week. Well, we'll see. According to Kristi Noem from Homeland Security, they've got a week. And that's it. And that will be it for now for the news. I'll keep my eyes on all this, guys, but wow, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. I'm doing the best I can. I'm just a one-man show after all. And if you appreciate what I do and the hard work I put in with all the research and everything else, we do have a fundraiser going on for May into June of 2025. And so I appreciate those of you who've contributed so far. It's definitely needed. We are listener supported only. And I wouldn't do these or have them up at all if they weren't necessary. So thank you very much for all of your support, for all of your prayers. They're definitely needed, and we're greatly appreciative. So there you go, funding going on from May into June of 2025. And we're closer than this actually shows because we've gotten some outside of this, but not a lot. So we got a little ways to go. And I thank you very much for that, because without you guys, we wouldn't be here. And then if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, there's a subscription box at the bottom of every article. You'll get one pop-up while you're on the website, but that's it. And then you type it in here. You type in your email here, click subscribe. And then every time I put up a new posting, new update, you'll be notified. And if you want to send me some links or what have you, don'tspeaknews@protonmail is the way to do that. And that will be it for now. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.